Welcome to the Lucha Lounge. I'm your host, Steve DeMarco. I hope everybody's enjoying their Sunday fun day. This is actually being filmed on Sunday, so I'm trying to enjoy my Sunday fun day. Or you're enjoying your Memorial Day holiday. Remember the reason why we celebrate that. Support the troops and all those that have served our country to ensure that our country's defended and we have the rights that we do have. So my hat's off to all those servicemen and women. So yeah, hopefully you're either watching this probably a little later Sunday than usual, or you're listening to this on Monday, part of the Offshoots Network. Don't forget that soon I will be on the Nigel Rabbit Show. I'm very much looking forward to everyone getting to check that out. I had loads of fun having that conversation with Nigel, so be on the lookout for that. Also, June 11th will be Reality Wrestling's next television taping at the Booker T World Gym Arena. I believe that's how it is. Don't quote me on that. But go to realitywrestling.com for more details. They've already announced a couple of matches, a few matches that I'm very much looking forward to. New team on the horizon, battling the tag team champions, I believe, and I think a rematch that's been in the making between Brian Keith and the television champion Rex Andrews, both who have been on my show. So yeah, I think there's a load of other stuff, but go to realitywrestling.com for more details, whether it be for the June 11th show or any of our future dates that we have lined up, whether it be at World Gym Arena or traveling. Just a little hint, potentially. But again, realitywrestling.com will have more details. So this week, I did not have a guest. I just scheduling. My schedule is kind of tough. I have to, find guests when I can, and this weekend being what it is, being Memorial Day weekend and whatnot, it was tough to really kind of line up a guest. Plus, I had a couple of extra filming days for Reality Wrestling, so I didn't really get a chance to locate someone, at least for this week. But I have some lined up for future. I've talked to a few people. A lot of people are looking forward to being on the show. So I'll have some guests coming up here in the very near future. But we will get into that in a moment. Because as of right now, this is episode 21. I know there was a little mislabeling here or there around 18, 19. But this is episode 21. So for 20 episodes, man, 20 episodes of podcasting, this being the 21st. Wow, I'm pretty pleased and pretty, humbly proud that I was able to get like 20 shows in a row, 20 weeks in a row, which is why I wanted to do a video this week, because or podcast this week, because I wanted to keep the trend going. I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the feedback that I've gotten, the chance to be part of the podcasting community. I've been wanting to be for some time, and luckily in 2016 we were able to make that happen thanks to Trey Mack and the Offshoots Network. Being a part of them, I'm thankful that I get the platform. Much like my YouTube stuff. Which I believe this is video 264, so go to my channel and you can see all the other ones, including past wrestling videos or highlight videos and whatnot. But so yeah, I've been really pleased with the feedback that I've gotten, and just being a podcaster, I'm really enjoying it. Mine's a little different for the most part. I like to have my guest in-house or in studio or wherever we're filming. Luckily, I can take this thing anywhere. Or if I'm going to just do an audio recording, I can take this lovely contraption right here, or the beauty of technology. But again, I like to do the face-to-face stuff. Hopefully I can line up some other guests, not necessarily that are part of Reality Wrestling, but I enjoy talking to all those that are part of Reality Wrestling, because we all kind of share a common goal, and it's really interesting to kind of hear their story, hear their life, hear what brought them to it, whether it be last week's last week's episode, which was with Tyree Taylor, not necessarily a newcomer to reality wrestling. I mean, he's been there a couple years, but it was good to talk to him, or good to talk to my buddy Killa Cash, or geeking out with Gustavo, or talking comics and wrestling with Romeo Falcone, or just the slew of people, Rex Andrews, Brian Keith, Ryan Davidson, the list goes on. And again, I've reached out to some, whether it be like Ivory Robin, our former Diamonds Division champion, or Kylie Ray, the current champion, or just a whole slew. Thinking of sitting down with Chris Russo, thinking of sitting down with the guy behind Title Match, Telly, looking potentially to talk to him. But there's others definitely in the works, and still want to sit down with Kevin. Hopefully we can line up our schedules at some point, get to sit down and chat it up. But we're both extremely busy, so totally understandable. But very much looking forward to it. So since I didn't have a guest this week, I thought, I would talk about the stuff that probably more wrestling related, some comic book stuff, some movie stuff, but mostly wrestling related, because this is somewhat a wrestling centric podcast or video episode or whatnot. So that's what the Lucha Lounge is about for the most part. Let's see, what could I talk about? Well, I could talk about Extreme Rules. Congratulations to Rusev. I thought that match was pretty solid between him and Kalisto. What a hell of a four-way for the Intercontinental strap, or title championship. Man, I was a big fan of it. I thought everyone played their parts well. I thought the story was really great. You tied in so many stories, so many angles into one match, and everyone played their part well, especially Miz. I thought he came out on top, and I thought it was great booking. Regardless of what others might want to say about that, I thought it was great having Miz win the title or retain it. The Ambrose Asylum match between Jericho and Dean Ambrose. Gotta hand it to those guys, especially the thumbtack stuff with Jericho and Ambrose. I mean, Jericho taking the brunt of it, but I'm sure Ambrose got some of that too. I mean, interesting concept to say the least. I guess interesting would be one word to use. Gotta hand it to both guys. They really went out there and tried to tear the house down. The only thing is the potted plant. That was kind of part of the kickoff to the feud, so to speak. I mean, there was, the switching of the highlight reel to the Ambrose Asylum, but they didn't use the potted plant. Of all the things, they used everything else, including the bucket, which had the thumbtacks, but including the mop and a few other, but they failed to use the potted plant, which I thought, at the very least, if you're going to use everything, and they almost did use everything minus the plant, they should have used the plant, because that would have, then they would have gotten everything. But I thought the match was solid for what it was. And you can't deny that those two worked really hard and tried to tell a very convincing story. I thought the women's title match was solid between Charlotte and Natalya. Good win for Charlotte. Now, the stuff on Monday was shaky, to say the least. I mean, both her and Flair, or Rick, are very emotional people, you can tell. I don't know, it was a little tough. Crowd definitely wasn't helping. I mean, obviously, they're big fans of Ric Flair. And in some respects, them wanting to, I don't want to say hijack the show, they're just chanting, they're free to do what they want. I mean, freedom of speech, whatnot, you pay your ticket. At the same time, sometimes you would hope that the audience would give the respect to the performers, especially when they're doing a talking segment, such as they are, and they're trying to get across whatever message that they're trying to get across. You see instances where that doesn't happen, and you kind of wonder why the fans won't just let the story unfold, specifically because if you're not a fan of it, well, the quieter you are, the quicker they can get through the segment. I don't think that was the case with this. I think the fans were just happy to see Rick, and I don't know, that was tough. That was a tough segment. But hats off to Charlotte for now seemingly being on her own. Not really, because she's got Dana Brooke. I wonder if they'll involve anybody else into that group. Maybe potentially, I could see that. But again, it's good to see Charlotte, kind of want to stand front and center and not be in her father's shadow, so to speak. And I thought, a lot of the verbiage was decent. But again, I think the crowd, it hurt it to some degree. But that was on Raw. Back to Extreme Rules. I thought the WWE World Heavyweight title match between Reigns and Styles was phenomenal. Literally, it was a great match. The four-way probably would be my match of the night. However, I would give this one like 1A or 1B to that four-way. Phenomenal story. I thought Styles, again, really held his own, showed that he belonged in the main event. I didn't think there was really any doubt. I really believe he's one phenomenal performer, and Reigns getting the win. I've liked the build-up for these two and the involvement of the club and the Usos, and even though you'd hear some other pundits who didn't like how it kind of shaked out, because there was a lot of gray as far as as far as Styles, although he played the babyface pretty well for the most part. He showed he wasn't really willing to sink to the level until he needed to, and Reigns just, again, being kind of boastful and gloating to some degree, not necessarily total heel tactic. He's not a bad guy or a good guy, he's the guy. I'm okay with it. I think it's just going to be one of those things of him evolving. I don't know if they're ready to really truly pull the trigger with him as a heel, or if they necessarily need to. Maybe I'll get into that in a minute. Of course, the end result after the match, you got the returning Seth Rollins, and then on Raw he comes out and to a pretty big hero's welcome, only to, during the course of his promo, get booed and seemingly turn heel. And you hear a lot of the pundits, the conversation being, is there, heels, faces. You hear a lot of old school guys. I'm kind of the same way. I believe in good versus evil. I think that's kind of a trope within wrestling, and it works on a whole lot of different levels. However, I can't say that the world's changed, because, as long as I've watched movies, you got a guy like Darth Vader, who's a true villain, kind of turns good guy towards the end in Return of the Jedi, but at the same time cheered by some, almost held in high regard, even though a villain. And then you look at like current day or recent, you got Walter White of Breaking Bad. Definitely a bad guy, doing some bad stuff, but yet people, he had a justification as to why he does what he does. Or you have Dexter as a serial killer, but has a code, and that kind of justifies why he does what he does. And there are definitely other examples, even current movies. Batman v Superman. Who do you cheer for? Or who's the babyface? Who's the heel? Who's the villain? Who's the hero? You're never quite sure, because they both have justification. Same thing with Civil War, which I'll probably discuss here in a little while. Again, the idea of who truly is evil, who truly is the villain, who truly is the good guy. And I think in some respects with wrestling, maybe there is that change, where it's not so much about like the true definition of babyface and heel, because the truth is that it's harder in this day and age to really be a true heel when, I say it's harder, and yet it could be easier because people are more sensitive. So sometimes just saying or saying something that people don't agree with will turn you to a bad guy, or agreeing with a certain view could turn you into a bad guy. When it's just, it's just the way of life. So me personally, I'm fine with Rollins as a heel, because I think that's kind of, while people may believe that he would be better served to be a babyface, I think, his demeanor as a guy who believes he's as good as he is, sometimes that can kind of take away from it, and maybe he's better suited to be a bad guy, at least initially. we got to see where they go with it. I think they're leaving it open to the audience, and at least with a guy like Cena, or even before that, the NWO, where it's just, you know, the fans don't necessarily dictate what the story's going to be, per se, and so I'm interested to see what they do with Reigns and Rollins, you know, Money in the Bank coming up and whatnot. So yeah, again, really enjoyed Extreme Rules. I enjoyed most of them. I'm definitely going to watch Money in the Bank. I mean, I have the network, so it's fairly easy to get it, to watch those, and I always wonder why people don't have the network. But another big news item was Smackdown going live. I believe July 19th is going to be the day that they go live, and they'll be moving to Tuesdays, even though that's when they film. So I can't wait, honestly, because I watch SmackDown on a weekly basis. Now, I haven't watched SmackDown yet, or the one that aired this week, but I'll watch it here pretty soon, I'm sure. But I always hear people who don't watch it. They're just like, what happens in SmackDown? What does it matter? And for the most part, that's true. There are some matchups. Sometimes they further stories along. Sometimes they showcase certain characters that they don't showcase on Raw. So I do tune into it weekly. But at least now, pundits will have to report on it, at least for the, you know, at least initially. You kind of wonder if they're going to run out of steam. But being live should be great. The idea of a brand split, or whatever they're going to call it, I think is going to be great. I'm just going to wait to see what they do with it. I think it's a great opportunity for WWE to really kind of push the underutilized talent, not necessarily having to grab into NXT. Now, obviously, they'll grab some people from NXT for this, just to bolster the rosters, but I don't know. I think I'm eager to see what they do. And again, it'll give people an opportunity and a reason to talk about SmackDown and view SmackDown. And I don't see a reason why it couldn't be destination television on Tuesdays for those, you know, that love wrestling. Now, it's going to be curious to see what happens, at least on my DVR, when it comes to Impact Wrestling that I do watch. Versus SmackDown. Now, again, if SmackDown has replays or Impact has replays, then I'll, more than likely watch the replay. I mean, there's a whole rest of the week to watch wrestling, but so it'll be interesting to see how that goes, and if that's kind of that could become ultra competitive, although it's difference, USA versus Pop. There's a big difference, but who knows? Maybe people will look at it as kind of a war of sorts, or maybe TNA moves to another night. You never know. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Now, a couple of other things, not necessarily wrestling related. Big uproar in the comic book world. Huge uproar. I was shocked. I'm talking about Captain America apparently being a Hydra agent this whole time. We don't know if, in fact, that is true. I mean, the Cosmic Cube, I believe, can alter reality, and so who knows where this story will lead, but what a great, scene where you got Captain America, of all people, saying, "Hail Hydra," after throwing out a teammate. I mean, throwing him out of a plane. Now, more than likely, hopefully that teammate survives, and this is all for look. And again, you could kind of throw and spin it in your own way, but definitely newsworthy. And it picked up all kinds of stuff, and the memes that have come out of it, like John Cena, "You Can See Me," or Tanahashi, "Too Sweet," or Batman, "I Shot My Parents." I've seen some of those memes. Just great stuff. But I was shocked. I'll admit, I was shocked. But I'm in. I got it specifically because I heard about the twist. I'd heard that there was going to be a twist. Not from somebody else who had read it. It was like, you should read it. It's got this twist at the end. I don't think they even hyped it up as having a twist, which is great. That makes for a great twist. And yeah, I cannot complain. Another one, big comic book launching this week was DC's Rebirth, like an 81-page comic that basically shifted, for the most part, what has gone on. You know, in essence, the New 52. You know, these 10 years were kind of taken away. Another twist at the end. You have, you know, I hate to say it, spoilers, but the Superman of the New 52 era is gone. You know, who died pretty much, which back in the day would have been the thing. You know, I remember Death of Superman being all over the place, but seemingly Marvel stole DC's thunder in some respects, you know, but the idea of, at the end of that comic, me being a Watchmen fan, that potential universe colliding with this universe, it's intriguing. I'm very interested to see what they do. I really enjoyed the story of the Rebirth and Wally West and all of that. You know, you're bringing up the Flashpoint stuff and the New 52 and 10 years, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed both comics, as I enjoy a lot of comics that I read. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. So back on the wrestling front, New Japan Pro Wrestling on Access TV, the latest airing. I pretty much keep up with it through that. I hear some stuff that goes on, you know, anything that's get posted on social media. I'll take a glimpse at it, but you know, I'm referring to the stuff that just aired. Which was the G1 Climax 25th anniversary, I believe, or 25th edition of the G1 Climax. A couple of awesome matches. One, speaking of Styles against Shibata, I thought that was another awesome match. And then amazing Tanahashi Ibushi match. I thought that one really stole the show. I mean, kind of the old guard versus the new young lion, and you know, how Tanahashi's being utilized and what Ibushi can do in the ring, and that story that they tell, I thought was amazing. Now, I know I'm jumping around, but these are kind of, you know, it's been a while since I've had to use this, so I kind of just, you know, what caught my mind as I jotted my notes, so sorry for all the jumping around, but that is what it is. Cody Rhodes being released, asking for his release and then being released. I was shocked. My character development sessions, I often bring up being in character and remaining in character, and I often use Stardust as an example because I really enjoy that character. I can understand people's complaints, people wanting him to be Cody Rhodes, but I was really a big fan of Stardust and what he did. Really a great example was him being on Booker T's Heated Conversations podcast and remaining in Stardust mode the entire time, or anytime that seemingly they had them in real life, quote unquote, situations, he was Stardust. I thought that was great. You know, it gives his reasoning, and I can't argue with it. Now, with the brand split and everything else, you kind of wonder. At the same time, being released doesn't mean you're gone forever. I think, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder. I mean, they're allowing him to be pretty vocal, and they're allowing him to kind of be the baby face in all this. You know, WWE, you know, can kind of play the heel role if they want. It'd be real interesting if a year from now, or a year after his official, like his 90 days are up, and officially, you know, and I did post something on Instagram or on Twitter, a list of people that he wanted to face, or that were in his sights, and his wife's now asked for her release and been granted it. But again, you know, it'd be real interesting if August of 2017 we're talking about the big return of Cody Rhodes, and he's Cody Rhodes, and I think if he goes out there and goes on the independents, goes to New Japan, goes to Lucha Underground, wherever he can go, even if it's for a brief period of time, and really kind of build his own brand, so to speak, and not be a character that they want him to portray, but truly find his voice, and then come back and be Cody Rhodes, I think could really benefit him, and could really kind of up his stock. I mean, especially if he, depending on what he does, you know, if if he's able to get the freedom to kind of go and pick and choose where he wants to go for a year or 18 months or something like that, I think it can only benefit him. I wish him the best of luck. I've always considered him a talented performer, and wish him nothing but the best. Damien Sandow released, part of that group of releases, and I don't know. I always have enjoyed Damien's work. I liked the intellectual savior of the masses. I really enjoyed that stuff. I enjoyed, his Money in the Bank cash-in against John Cena. I enjoyed his stuff with, the Rhodes Scholars. I've enjoyed a lot of his work. The Mizdow stuff, phenomenal stuff. I thought, he made the best of it. But for some reason, the company, when he was just Damien Sandow, didn't really connect with the powers that be for whatever reason. I think he's another guy that's extremely talented, that may just need to be away from the system for a while, and kind of do it like a Drew Galloway or an EC3, somewhat, people that took being released, and made the most of it. And I think Damien's another guy, talented individual, and hopefully this is something that he wants to continue to do. And maybe, hopefully, he gets kind of his stock rises because of the work he's doing elsewhere, and hopefully WWE takes notice. And the truth is that in this day and age, if you can create a name elsewhere, and you get put on their radar, I think they may see you in a different light. You look at Luke Gallows, man. You went from being Festus to being Luke Gallows. I think, man, the sky's the limit for any of these guys. A sad release. I mean, they're all sad. Whether they request it and they get their request accepted, or they get released because it's just time. Or in this situation, Adam Rose, who was dealing with a suspension. The wellness policy is what it is, and if the company, they do what they need to do, and then the domestic violence stuff, which is extremely frowned upon in this day and age, and rightfully so, it should be. What to think, like, when that E60 episode aired, and the outpouring of support for a guy like Adam Rose and his story with his child and his wife and all of that, and then you fast forward to now, and the stresses of being a parent, a special needs kid, and how that can really impact, but at the same time, no real excuse. I wish him the best. I don't know if any company will really want to risk it, but I don't know. Maybe in months. I mean, he's talented. The Leo Kruger stuff kind of worked for me. The Adam Rose stuff I thought had loads of potential. At the same time, I say it had loads of potential, but again, I'm not the final say within that company. I may have pushed him to be something because of the rosebuds, and I think of how the NXT crowd accepted him, but I think that's an example. He's one of many examples of what an intimate NXT crowd, I mean, you hate to say intimate, but within Full Sail, how they react to someone versus how the universe as a whole will react to someone. But I don't know, wish them luck, man. I wish them all luck. All the people that have been released, I mean, to get to that level and then to be taken away, I know it can be tough. So yeah, and finally, as far as like wrestling stuff, I watched the latest Lucha Underground episode, and Chavo and Cage, the new Gift of the Gods champ. I thought really solid match, great outing for Chavo Guerrero. People can say what they want about him. I've been a fan of his, and a big fan of his family. Tons of respect for them. I thought great outing for both, man. Cage, congrats, being the new Gift of the Gods champion, and he's already going to challenge the champion. So, not wasting any time, I thought it was a great outing for Joey Ryan. just phenomenal outing. I thought his stuff, his match, and then the bat behind the vignette where their cover gets blown, I thought it's good stuff. I've really enjoyed Joey's work since he's been there. The vignettes, man, the Taya King Cuerno stuff, as well as the Mundo Evans Black and Taya, those vignettes, they work for me. I really like them. I think the Taya one really was phenomenal. I thought it really well done, as well as King Cuerno. I think their vignettes are top notch, man. Just film quality. And I thought the trios matchup between Dragon Azteca Jr., Prince Puma, and Rey Mysterio, the trios champions, going into it against Black, Evans, and Mundo with Taya, was a great match, great showcase for all involved, and congrats to the new champs. I think those guys have some. I think that could be a great unit. I really like their vignette together. I think it's going to work on a lot of different levels, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the future of Lucha Underground brings. And I guess finally, before I get into a couple of questions, thoughts on Civil War. I got to see it. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Now, I was Team Cap pretty much all the way through. Yeah, pretty much all the way through. I really enjoyed the movie. I mean, it's been a buildup of that cinematic universe. I mean, this is what they built up to. That's what all the trailers have really kind of put across, and this idea of two, iconic characters, not just within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but you talk about Captain America, Hail Hydra, and Iron Man, and what Robert Downey Jr. has done, and what Chris Evans has done as far as putting their stamp into those roles, and making Iron Man what Iron Man is, and making Captain America what Captain America is. I've been a fan of both. I've been a fan of the cinematic universe. To see it kind of come to a head, and the justification of all the roles, for the most part, everyone that was involved in it had a reason to be involved in it. The airport scene was great. Zemo was great. I thought he was the most justified villain in a slew of villains, but when he kind of lets you know why he's doing what he's doing, man, I can kind of understand where he was coming from, and sometimes that's what makes a great villain, is that there's truth to what they're saying, and so I really enjoyed it. The big reveal, parents are a big deal in both comic book universes, but yeah, when Iron Man finally, looks at Cap, like, you knew, and Cap can't lie, and then I was like, man, Cap, I'm all for you, but come on, man, you deserve to get punched in the face as hard as humanly possible. Tony deserves to smack you around. I thought it was great at the same time, to watch those two and kind of feel like, don't do it, guys, don't do it. The villain won. He won. He got what he wanted, which was great. And then and Spider-Man was great. A great, just a great, I would say a great, just a great story overall. I really am looking forward to it. I really liked how Spider-Man was represented. I'm fine with Marissa Tomei as Aunt May. I mean, woo! I have a crush on Aunt May. I've had a crush on Aunt May since she was, in My Cousin Vinny. I really loved her in The Rustler. Anyway, so on and so forth. And I love the memes because Robert Downey Jr. and Marissa Tomei have been in movies before, so it's gonna be it's pretty interesting. I'm interested to see how Homecoming comes about, and if they'll actually get those two to. I mean, she's a grieving widow. I don't know, man. I don't know. And Black Panther, without saying, I'm very much looking forward to what they do with Black Panther. I thought it was, the character was portrayed well, and great introduction. So many moving parts and really well told, really put together well. My hat's off to Marvel. They're doing what they do. So, as I mentioned, I didn't have any guests this week, so I was like, well, what should I talk about? And I decided to throw it out and see if anyone had any questions. And I got like comments. I got one question. And being part of the podcasting community now, I'm part of a group, closed group apparently on Facebook called the Houston Area Podcasters. So I, will share my stuff on there. And Jesus or Jesus Garza, I'm gonna call you Jesus. I don't know if you would go by Jesus. But Jesus or Jesus Garza asked me, do I need some wrestling fans? And you never know when someone posts a comment if they're posting, what their tone is. I want to think that he's being playful. And so I have plenty of wrestling fans. So, I was just looking for questions. But I appreciate the question. Jesus or Jesus? Let's see. Next, I got one from Katie Hanecki. I can't pronounce your last name, Katie, but we are friends, and you're a great pal. You asked, or basically brought up, if maybe I should have a fan on my show, and we can talk. What it's like to be a fan, how long they've been a fan, what made them a fan. It'd be funny and light, and it's true. I've had Samantha on my show specifically because she's, and for all intents and purposes, still a fan, and I enjoyed that part of her. But I would definitely love to have someone on the show who's a fan. This is open to whoever. That's why it's called the Lucha Lounge. It's open to whoever. It's a place to relax and talk life and wrestling and whatnot. And who knows, maybe in the future we'll have some guests who are just fans, but we shall see. Chris Black asked about certain Texas wrestlers, Houston Carson, Barbie Hayden, Scott Summers, Mike Dell, Chaz Taylor, or Joey Spector. And I actually replied to Chris Black, but might as well reply on here as well. Yeah, I'm all for having those people on the show. Now, I've had sit-down conversations with both Barbie and Ken before when I was doing Behind the Curtain. Speaking of Behind the Curtain, there was one with me and Scott Summers where we sat down, talked about character transformation, all of that, which never aired. I think even I had Mike Dell as part of that Behind the Curtain episode that will probably never air. It along with the Booker T stuff that we had where I had a conversation with him as well. The truth is that I like to have the person face to face. I like to do it that way. So, but my show is open to whoever. If they want to come and voice grievances, or they just want to, come to the show and sit down and let's just talk life and wrestling and interest and whatnot, I'm all for it. So, by no means will I deny, a guest, but at the same time, I like to have the face-to-face stuff. Now, maybe as we progress within podcasts, and I'm like, well, let's kind of expand that, and I'll just do recordings, audio recordings, because it'll be more for podcast sake as opposed to for YouTube sake. But as long as I have a YouTube channel, I'd like to be able to have it on both mediums, and I'd like to have people actually get to see the video. But we'll see. Again, I have an invite. There's an open invite to all those that were mentioned. And then let's see. Finally, let's see. My buddy Scott Vincent Baker. Kind of asking me, I don't know, just about having like bigger guests, like kind of like what Chris Jericho or Stone Cold does. And again, it just kind of boils down to people that I know, people that are kind of readily accessible for one, and for two, you know, it's about people either really getting their start or on the indies, or, you know, people that are on my level. But I do plan on having bigger name guests, hopefully, in the future. I mean, as this thing grows, as I get more viewers, as I get more subscribers, as I get more listeners, it opens up the doors for potentially doing that. So yeah, I am, you know, I definitely would like to grow it. At the same time, a lot of my recordings come from a camera, so it's setting up a tripod with a camera, and, you know, sometimes you've got to find enough space and the right amount of lighting and all of that. But who knows? Who knows? Who knows what the future might bring? A year from now, it could be purely podcasts and very little video. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I just want the show to continue to grow, but at the same time, you know, it's a project. It's fun. I enjoy doing it. I look forward to putting these out. I'm really trying to stick to putting them out every week at the same time, or the same day at least. You know, Sundays for the video, Mondays for the audio. You know, it hopefully I can get some new conversations that I can, and then focus on building the brand a little bit more, or just continue to have fun with it. It started out as a fun project and a passion project, and that's how it'll probably remain. I'm pleased with where it is, and people that take the time to listen or to watch. I really enjoy people that give me feedback. I really enjoy that. People that subscribe to either the Offshoots Network or to my YouTube channel, I really appreciate. I don't know who's going to be my guest next week. We'll find out probably midweek. Hopefully, I'll line somebody up here pretty soon. But yeah, just trying to enjoy my life. That's all I can do. Enjoy this journey one day at a time, taking it one moment at a time. Again, I'm appreciative of all of you that take the time, and all of you who are supportive, all of you who sit back, relax, and enjoy my episodes of the Lucha Lounge, and enjoy the conversations. This won't be the last video for sure, and I'm looking forward to what the future holds. So again, hopefully everybody enjoys, whether it be their Sunday fun day or their Monday, or whatever day of the week they get to sit back, relax, and enjoy their life. Definitely enjoy those moments. As I always like to end these, stay cool, stay sexy, stay classy. Hey, continue to enjoy what you enjoy. Be a positive beacon of light to all those around you. And if you can do all that, then you're already all those. Until the next time, later!